Don't drink that. Her voice cut through the laughter, sharp and trembling. The glass froze mid-air in her father's hand. Around them, the room fell silent. Vanessa's smile twitched, but her eyes burned with fury. "She's overreacting," she hissed, stepping closer. "Trust me, Richard." But then, the glass slipped, shattering against the marble floor. Red wine spread like blood, and gasps echoed through the hall. A small vial tumbled from Vanessa's clutch, glinting under the chandelier. A billionaire was nearly poisoned. A daughter dismissed. A truth too dangerous to ignore. This is her fight to save him. Welcome, story lovers. Where are you watching from? Hit the like button and drop your city name in the comments so we can see how far our story travels. It was a life many dreamed of, but few could truly understand. Behind the tall gates of a sprawling mansion sat the world of Richard Caldwell, a billionaire who had built his empire from the ground up. His fortune spanned multiple industries, his influence extended to boardrooms across continents, and his name commanded respect in elite circles. Yet inside the polished marble walls of his home, family life carried a different kind of weight. Richard's daughter, Maya, was no stranger to the sharp eyes that followed her whenever she entered these circles. As a young black woman growing up in a world shaped by wealth, but not always welcoming to her presence, she had learned to hold her head high. While her father was admired for his brilliance and charm, Maya often carried the burden of whispers, questions of whether she truly belonged, subtle reminders that money could not shield her from prejudice. Still, Maya had built her own life. She thrived as a law student, with a quiet strength that reflected both her intelligence and resilience. Every weekend she returned to her father's estate, not for the luxury, but for the man who had raised her with unwavering love. Richard was her anchor, her hero, yet lately she sensed a change. Her father's eyes sparkled with the kind of youthful glow she hadn't seen in years. He spoke often of a woman named Vanessa, elegant, beautiful, and half his age. To outsiders, Vanessa appeared polished, attentive, the perfect partner to a powerful man. But Maya noticed the fleeting glances, the calculating pauses, the way Vanessa's smile never seemed to reach her eyes. There was a charm, yes, but also a shadow. And though Richard's world seemed brighter with Vanessa in it, Maya couldn't shake the unease pressing at the back of her mind. Something was coming, something that threatened not just her father's heart, but his very life. The mansion stood tall in the fading sunset, its glass windows reflecting the gold of the setting sun. To the world, this was a house of triumph. To Maya, it was about to become a battlefield. Maya tried to dismiss her unease as nothing more than protective instinct. Still, every passing day added weight to the gnawing doubt inside her. Vanessa seemed flawless in her father's eyes. She laughed at all his jokes, accompanied him to every event, and played the part of a loving partner so perfectly it almost seemed rehearsed. But Maya noticed what others did not, the way Vanessa's eyes lingered on the family portraits with a subtle disdain, the condescending tone she used with the household staff, the quick flashes of irritation when Richard wasn't looking. The first cracks appeared during a Sunday brunch. The family chef had prepared Maya's favorite dish, a tradition from her late mother's recipes. Vanessa's smile tightened as Richard proudly mentioned it. Still, when Maya excused herself for a phone call, she returned to find the plate mysteriously cleared away. Vanessa shrugged it off with a laugh, claiming it had been a mistake. But Maya knew better. It wasn't the food, it was the memory, the quiet erasure of a woman who had once stood where Vanessa now wanted to. As weeks passed, the tension grew. Richard began making sudden changes, rewriting his will, liquidating assets, and shifting properties into joint accounts. To him, it was trust. To Maya, it was a slow surrender. Whenever she voiced concern, he dismissed it as jealousy, a reluctance to see him happy again after years of loneliness. His words cut deep, but she refused to be silenced. One evening, she stumbled upon Vanessa in the study, her fingers skimming over financial documents she had no reason to touch. The moment their eyes met, Vanessa's expression hardened. "Curiosity can be dangerous," she whispered, her voice carrying a venom that dripped beneath the polished surface. Maya's heart pounded, but she held her ground. She saw it now. The mask had slipped, if only for a second. Determined, Maya began her own quiet investigation. She spoke to acquaintances, pulled public records, and unearthed a trail of debts, bankruptcies, and broken relationships in Vanessa's past. Yet every time she tried to show her father, he refused to listen. "People change," he insisted. "She deserves a second chance." But to Maya, it was clear. Vanessa wasn't seeking redemption. She was seeking control. The breaking point came when Richard suddenly fell ill after dinner one night. He brushed it off as exhaustion, but Maya noticed his glass of wine, half empty, sitting beside Vanessa's untouched one. Her instincts screamed, but without proof, she was trapped in silence. The doctor declared it a minor food reaction, yet Maya couldn't ignore the unease coiling tighter with every breath. Days later, she found the missing link. In the quiet of Vanessa's dressing room, hidden among perfumes and silk scarves, lay a small vial. Its label was faded, but the contents were unmistakable, an untraceable poison, one she had read about in her legal studies. Her blood ran cold, she had no doubt now. The woman her father adored was preparing to kill him. And worse, with his assets already shifting under Vanessa's control, his fortune and legacy would vanish into her hands the moment his heart stopped beating. But how could she prove it? How could she save her father when he refused to believe her? Alone in her room, Maya felt the crushing weight of being doubted, of being seen as the overprotective daughter rather than the watchful guardian she truly was. She had no allies, no evidence strong enough to expose the truth. Yet, still, one thing was sure: the battle had begun. And Maya was not about to lose. The night of the engagement party arrived with glittering lights, champagne flutes, and a guest list brimming with power. Richard stood proudly at Vanessa's side, beaming as though nothing in the world could go wrong. Yet Maya's pulse raced beneath her calm exterior. Tonight she had to act. She had spent sleepless nights preparing, gathering the last fragments of proof, waiting for the moment when the truth would finally pierce through the lies. As the speeches began, Vanessa lifted her glass, her diamond ring catching the glow of the chandeliers. She leaned close to Richard, her hand hovering just above his drink. Maya's breath caught. She recognized the same vial tucked discreetly in Vanessa's clutch. Every nerve in her body screamed. The room erupted in applause as Richard raised his glass to toast their future. In that instant, Maya surged forward. With a single swift motion, she knocked the glass from his hand. Liquid splashed across the marble floor, and gasps spread like wildfire. Silence fell, broken only by Maya's trembling voice. "Test it," she demanded, pointing at the spilled wine. "She's been poisoning him." At first, disbelief rippled across the crowd. Richard's face twisted in confusion, torn between love for his daughter and loyalty to his fiancée. But then, from the clutch that slipped from Vanessa's grip, the vial tumbled onto the floor. The glint under the chandelier sealed the moment. Gasps turned into whispers, which in turn gave way to shock. Richard's eyes widened as realization crashed down. Vanessa's mask shattered, her fury blazing in the open. Security rushed forward, guests stepped back, and the perfect image dissolved into chaos. Maya's heart thundered. The truth was no longer hidden. It was laid bare for all to see. Dear audience, where are you watching from? Drop your city name in the comments. The aftermath unfolded like a storm breaking over calm waters. Vanessa was escorted out in disgrace, her pleas and protests drowned by the undeniable evidence. The vial was analyzed, and the results confirmed Maya's fears. It contained a lethal poison, one that would have ended her father's life within days. For Richard, the revelation was more than betrayal. It was a shattering of trust, a humbling reminder that even the most powerful men can be blinded by love. Maya stood by him through the wreckage, not with bitterness, but with quiet strength. She had saved his life, yet the scars ran deeper than the brush with death. Richard realized he had doubted the very person who loved him most, the daughter who had seen what he refused to see. The weight of his guilt pressed heavily, but Maya never sought an apology. Her victory was not in being right. it was in protecting the man who had always been her anchor. As the mansion returned to its calm, its marble walls no longer seemed invincible. They were reminders of vulnerability, of how easily fortune and status could mask danger. For Maya, the ordeal carved a truth she would never forget. Racism had already forced her to fight harder for her voice in a world eager to silence her. But this time, her courage saved more than dignity. It saved a life. The story closed not with wealth or betrayal, but with resilience. A daughter's vigilance had shattered deception, proving that love grounded in truth will always rise above greed and lies. And so the question lingers: how many voices, ignored for being too cautious or too loud, are actually the very ones carrying the truth? Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more powerful stories that matter.